Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Conversations with Luciana, the house that Luciana has built, where everyone has a place at the table. If you're a new listener, I bring you greetings and salutations. If you are a returning listener, welcome back, family. Real talk on real issues, real life situations. Keep in mind, advice is never given, but opinions and a new perspective is always welcome. You can find me on most podcast streaming services as well as YouTube under Conversations with Luciana. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure to turn on your notifications to know when the next Conversation with Luciana are posted. My posting schedule is as follows: Motivational Monday, Inspirational Empowerment Tuesday, Open Forum Thursday, Coffee and Tea with Luciana on Sundays. YouTube exclusives are on Mondays and Saturdays. If you would like to submit a topic of conversation or be a guest on a podcast episode of Conversations with Luciana, email me at conversationswithluciana@gmail.com. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Have a good one. Let's go. When are we going to stop reliving the events of 2020? I know they were devastating, damaging, hurtful. A lot has transpired in 2020, and people are still reeling from it, but they're not healing from that, And let's be honest, some people are upset that the former president is speaking, which he does have his right to speak. Whether you like it or not, he does. Everybody has opinion, just like everybody has an asshole. But also, we have to know that former other presidents are doing the same thing. Now, of course, we can't put them on the same stage as this one. But I should just say that it's definitely, they're speaking, they're talking. And so I guess, but, they're making sense, to the people that supported them. And, you get a great understanding. But my Lord, if you're going to spread misinformation and lies and you want to incite a race war, you're doing a great thing by doing what you're doing. But you're going to be the president of all people. You need to incorporate, encompass, embrace everybody, not just where you feel that you're wrong. You can't always be right. You can be misguided and misinformed. You can hurt people and not help people. You can be self-serving and self-deserving, right? And also think that you're helping people. In your mind, it's very confusing. What's even more startling than what's going on in people's heads and what they believe is that there's nobody around telling them to knock that mess off. At some point you get tired of hearing the same rhetoric. And I think that's what people are suffering from now. They're tired of hearing that. Me, I always talk about social media. And I had to think about it before I say I'm not going to trash social media, because it does serve its purpose. It reaches millions of people, but some of it is not really uplifting or people focused. It's stupid stuff. It's really things that should not, it should be like a flash in the pan. Like, you could see the lightning and the thunder and then, it moves somewhere else. This is like a tornado that's out of control, that's just wreaking through every state, every country imaginable, and it's leaving devastation in its path. And I'm like, we got to stop this. We got to stop this, Everything, me, I'm always saying everything that you do and say doesn't need to be up on social media, because some Yahoo is taking it and running with it, Everybody that has a voice should not have a mic, and there should be some fact checking, like right on the spot. But people want to believe in what they believe in, and you cannot change their mind. But the day of reckoning is coming. And when you have that moment where you realize you've been bamboozled or you've been flim-flammed, and this is not the road runner where you he's running, and then the coyote falls off the cliff, and then he comes back in the next scene. No. Some things you're never going to recover from. And you have to be careful of the people who never get past the hurt, the pain, the devastation, the loss that they felt happened to them. You have to watch those people. And you can't always be where, well, they're just speaking their mind, they're all truth. If you believe it was the truth, then it would be that way. Everybody else would see it. And you can't convince other people that what they see and what they feel doesn't exist, right? Because of the sincere fact. When I say sincere, I mean you're actually knowing that you are seeing something that doesn't make sense to you. Leads me to believe that you do know there is a difference between right and wrong, good and bad, and people need to understand that. I get tired of arguing with people. I don't argue with people. You can believe what you want to believe. Well, what if I'm right? Well, what if you're wrong? If nobody tells you no, then you think you have a pass to do whatever you wanted to do until you get to a place where you can't do it. I'm so tired of people saying that you need to save us from ourselves when you're the one with your foot on our neck. You're the one that has a chokehold on a particular party because you feel that you were wronged or you were shamed. When everybody with common sense can say that, you know what, instead of griping and complaining, what are you doing to change it? But, you don't even want to acknowledge that you had any part of it, but that's what it is. And then we also have to realize that some people on the other side are holding on to that thing too. You're giving life to something that is dead. That is dead and gone, buried. We should not be talking about it. We should not be thinking about it. And why are we concerned about it? I do this thing where I just let people talk. I just say, okay, good luck with that, and I walk off. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not going to stress out over something that I know it's not right or it's right. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to go on a Twitter rant and be complaining and bitching and moaning about something that I know that is, I have to see it for what it is. And see, one thing that I know, if you don't want to admit that something could be wrong, then I don't want to listen to how right you think you are. Like, again, this is not a cartoon. Remember that there are characters in cartoons that we like, but everything is not watered down, dumbed down for a child. Sometimes you got to go to Adult Swim and see some things that are kind of like, okay, on your level. Hearing somebody bitching and complaining about something, it's like you're griping and complaining. You're acting like a spoiled brat who favorite toy was taken away and you don't want to share. You have to be willing to share. And if you're not willing to share, then you're selfish and you're self-centered and you don't care about anybody else's success or failures. All you care is about what you see and feel. That's true. And you have to stop doing that. So as I sit here and I record and I'm thinking about things that come to my mind, I'm scrolling and looking and researching, because I like to be a well-rounded people. What I have discovered that is I'm not going to give life to something that is dead. I'm not going to revisit the past. I'm not. I don't have time for that. If you guys want to dwell that, then do that. But you have to look at all things with a clear understanding for what it is. And if you don't believe it, then why should somebody believe you? This is just ridiculous. And it's almost like we're in a propaganda machine where we blame Russia for doing that. But in America, can it not be doing the same thing? Because it's a never-ending cycle of all this. And people can't get past because the media has a stronghold on what they want you to believe the narrative is. Can anybody think outside the box? Can you allow yourself to think rationally? You can't. You won't. That's why people want to argue up and down every day about the mask, about the vaccine mandates. Now children are getting vaccinated. Everybody has an argument, different spin. So you're talking at each other, not to each other, because nobody wants to sit at the table and admit that they could be wrong and the other person could be right. Where you broker the deal, where both sides, somebody's going to not get everything they want, but at least we can have come to an understanding. That's why our political system is so broken. It's so broken, in this country, because one party believes that they're right, the other party believes that the other party is wrong. And so you can't come to a clear, concise decision where we're going to reach across the aisle and I see my brother and my sister hurting and I want to bridge that gap. I know you guys saying, okay, Luciana, you have a conversation about sibling rivalry, and you made it clear. Yeah, I do, because there's some people that you just can't deal with on that level, but you still have to deal with them. You still have to talk to them. You still have to acknowledge them, but they don't have to be the center of your world. They don't have to be in your world in order to get things done every day. You speak when it's necessary and you move when it's needed. But people don't get that. They want to stay and complain till you come around to their side. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. This is not the world in which we live in. And the world that we used to know is shrinking to the point where it doesn't exist, because the world of social media has just taken on a life of its own. And I can believe the big lie, or I can believe what I see, but it's not really real. But I believe it because I can see it, because I don't want to think about what is really happening in my own life, in the world that I see. Suffering, devastation, it's happening. But I can turn it off and turn on another social media and be entertained. Why is it so important for us to be entertained? Why is it so important for us to be liked by millions of people that don't know us? It's ridiculous. Why would you say that another person ceased to exist, only I exist? Why would you put a race against another race? I mean, why are we doing this? You want to cause a division and divide, and that's what's happening. And then you don't want to take responsibility and blame. I tell people all the time, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. But you cannot say that you did not know, because nobody didn't tell you, because they did tell you. And you choose to ignore. So you need to suffer. You need to suffer and deal with the decisions and the choices and the consequences that you made. What happened when you were a child and you did childlike things? You're an adult, you do adult things. But some adults have the mind of a child. Some of the things in my childhood that I remember were very, they were good. They weren't, did I get everything I want? Absolutely not. But I remember I had a childhood. Now these kids don't have a childhood. They're being robbed from their innocence. And adults that did not have a childhood, they don't even know what innocence is. They just know pain and regret, and I'm going to step and conquer you because I couldn't get that as a child. You're watching a grown adult throw a goddamn tantrum. That's what you're looking. That's what people are doing. You watch it. You're watching people come unglued, come apart at the seams, and they think that's normal. That's a child acting out in an adult person's body. You do realize that. Saturday mornings was cartoons. You watch cartoons from 7 o'clock in the morning until 10. And then you watch these other little shows that help you educate, and then you went outside and play. If you had to live in a house where you had to do chores, you did those chores, and then you went outside to play. After school, there were after-school programs that you went to. Sports were sports. Dance was dance. ROTC was ROTC. Things like, y'all don't know what ROTC is. But look it up. It was a real thing. You did that. But you went home. And before you did your homework, for a fact you turned on those cartoons. You were able to unwind and de-stress from your day at school. Watch cartoons, do your homework, eat dinner, maybe go outside and play, and then you start it all over again. That's why I can say that a generation had a childhood, because you had the generation, my generation, maybe the generation after me, and maybe even before me, had a childhood. Because we were able to be a child, to grow up into an adult. We had values and morals. Please and thank you, yes sir and yes ma'am, were something that you had to do. You could not say damn, you had to say dang. And if you said dang and your grandmother heard you, it was too close to damn, you got popped. Who is minding the children? Who is letting the children know that it's okay to be a child? You don't have to be an adult. But on social media, you got people putting their children on social media. And so they're robbed of the innocence. I'm telling you, it's real and it's sad. But we can get back to it, though. We just got to be willing to have the conversation and call it where we see it. That's what it is. It's not about us. It's about bettering everyone and holding everybody accountable. But if you want to blame other people for the mistakes that you made and you don't want to take responsibility for yours, how sad is that? Get your ass somewhere and sit down. You know, when you were a kid, you weren't allowed to be in adults' conversation. You stayed in a child's place. Right? You did. And so people now feels like, oh, I have a voice, I have to speak, and children need to be heard, and everybody need to be heard. It's all about me. It's all about me. No, it's not. You can't get nothing done if it's all about you. Because if it was, you would do it. So stop that. Conversations need to be had where people can be say, okay, stop it with all that other stuff. And people, you know, I'm telling you guys, be honest. When I have a conversation with people, I tick people off. I know I do. You know, and it's not my objective to do that, to piss people off. It's to make you gain an understanding. And when I don't understand, I want to understand. I want to learn. But I do know when somebody's giving me the fluff, the foolery. I do understand when people are doing the filters. And you want me to believe that that's really you. You know, I'm going to tell you a funny story. I consider myself having, a unique way of looking at things, a different perspective, because I sit back. And sometimes I don't say anything because you can't always be talking. You know what? You know, your big mama, a poppy would say, you know, you always running your mouth. Just running your mouth, just always talking, ain't saying nothing. You know, because you always want to it's like get somewhere and sit down. Or they'll tell you to be quiet. They do not like the word shut up. When they tell you to shut up, that means that's it. Conversation is over. And people say, well, that's rude. No, I need to stop you in your track. They tell you to shut your lying self up. When they tell you to hush, you're interfering in grown folks' business and you're talking too much. Or you're not really listening. You're just not making any sense. And they know when you're lying. They knew when you was lying. They don't say nothing but Don't bring that girl over here. She lied too much. Don't bring that girl over here. They'll tell you, don't bring that boy over there. He wouldn't know the truth if it hit him with a baseball bat. I'm just telling you. That's what they say. We need to get back to that. Sometimes the old way was the right way. We know better, we do better. But right now there was discipline. There was morals. There were consequences for your action. And I'm pretty sure some of these people that are in political office, if their parents was alive, they would shake their hands to get your ass somewhere and sit down because you are not making any sense. You're making a mockery of everything that we believe in, that we know, because you want to be on top always. And you can't always be on top if you don't want to allow anybody else to rise. You can't always be that way. So, that being said, people have a misconception of what life and being an adult is. They do. And although I talk about social media, I do watch it, but I do not watch it as I believe everything I see. I take everything with a grain of salt. You know, I remember when I was raising my sons that I wanted them to have a childhood. I wanted them. I knew how I was raised. I knew how I wanted to be raised, and I knew how I was going to raise them. But they had morals and they had values, and they had a sense of responsibility. And as they got older, and they led their own life, and they do what they want to do, they know how to center themselves and come back. And they know right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you do not know the difference between right and wrong, then you have lost your focus and lost your purpose. Because you should know that you cannot always be right. Just like you can't always be wrong. But you can be confused and you can be bamboozled and you can be stupid and you can be dumb. I know we do not like using those words, but you can. Because a stupid person hates correction. A dumb person is unwilling to know that they need correction. So, that's a lot to unpack, I know. Allow yourself to see clearly what you see and know what you know, but understand the world does not center around you. You and your legions of idiots that want to follow you, you're leading them in to the Red Sea. But guess what? What happened? The Red Sea was parted and people were able to walk through. And when Pharaoh and his army came behind, they were swallowed up in the Red Sea, in the sea. And people look back like, damn, God did that thing. Because he could only tolerate that for so long. He can only tolerate that so long. So, that being said, understand that you, me, us, need to have conversations that make each other better and hold each other accountable. It's a definitely balancing act, and we have to learn how to not straddle the fence, not turn a blind eye, but we have to know how to come together and understand. Until we have a real conversation about the real stuff that's going on and how the media, how the news media, how people feel, act, react, deal, get somewhere and sit down till you get yourself together. Just get yourself together until you are willing to come to the table and have a conversation. I don't want you to stand in the corner and be time out, because that means you got to come out. Discipline requires correction. It does. You want to correct. You don't want to beat somebody into believing your way. You want to correct them, but discipline is necessary. Self-discipline is necessary in every area of our lives. Understand that. It can't always be your way. Allow the child to have a childhood. And stop living your life through a childhood. Although I do. Some of my childhood memories I do too. I deal with as an adult because it helped me. It helped shape me to who I am and who I want to become. But I know I can't do the things of a child anymore because I'm an adult. So I have to take responsibility for my own actions, and you do too. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. I know you'd be like, hey, Luciana, you be just ending your conversation like that? I'm on to the next, honey. That's what conversation with Luciana is about. We be moving. You should hear me and my friends, me and Team One have conversations. We done talked about 20 different things, but I'm always left inspired and encouraged. I am never, the conversation I have with anyone, I am never left frustrated, agitated, irritated, but I'm definitely always thinking. I'm always mindful. I am. So that makes me a great friend. Thank you for joining me. I hope to hear from you soon. Have the conversation with people, okay? It's great. It's fantastic. We learn so much from each other. You have a good one. Peace. Thank you for listening to another podcast episode of Conversations with a Luciana. I look forward to speaking with you again. Until then, be kind to yourself and others. Make every day your best day. Stay encouraged and press forward, for the best is yet to come. Peace, and I'm out. Let's go.